So in my last Songwriter 101 video, I talked about sort of an approach that a beginning songwriter could use to try to tackle their first song, and I talked about sort of an order of events, or an order that I think is wise to try to tackle the pieces of a song if you aren't very experienced. And the first thing that I said is first decide on a form, and I sort of glossed over that and said, let's pick, for this example, AABA, and went on to talk about that form. But today what I want to talk about is another form that's an alternative to that you can also use. And this is the concept of playing around with the structure of the 12-bar blues without necessarily sticking to the specific harmonic structure of the 12-bar blues. And by that I mean we're going to borrow the harmonic rhythm of the 12-bar blues, but potentially use other chords in lieu of the 1, 4, and 5 that the blues relies upon. So if you're not familiar with the 12-bar blues as a form, it kind of goes like this. We're going to think of the 12 bars as split into 3 4-bar sections that are dominated by different chords. So we've got the first 4-bar section is going to be dominated by the 1 of whatever key we're in, and the second is going to move to the 4, then back to the 1, and then the third, which is often called the turnaround, is going to finally introduce the 5, flow back to the 1, and then kind of end up on the 5 to let us turn back around into the top of the form again. So in the key of A, it would be like this, where if you're not familiar with this, in A, the 1 is an A major. I'll be using sevenths, so A7. Then the 4 is a D7, and then the 5 is an E7. And what it sounds like is this, and try to count along when we get these bars. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Then up to the 4 just for a moment. 2, 3. This is the third bar. Fourth bar. 2, 3, 4. Now to the 4. 2, 3, 4. 2 bars on the 4, then back to the 1. Now here's the turnaround to the E. That's the 5 to the 4 to the 1 to the 5. And we turn around to the beginning of another 12 bars like that. Okay, so what we could do is we could substitute other chords that we like the sound of that have a different function, but make use of that familiar progression and that familiar movement, that harmonic rhythm, to create a new 12-bar structure. And I've done this a bunch of times in my own writing, where I tend as a writer to avoid 1, 4, 5 strict relationships, and instead working sort of geometrical chord relationships or other kinds of major-minor relationships. So I'm going to use one that I did as an example. So this is what I did for the verse of my song "Bang Bang Girl," which is on the Leaky Joe albums. So I used, instead of D for the 4 position, I used a C. So I'm still in the key of A, and I went from an A7 to a C9, back to the A, then the C, and then I used, instead of an E, I used an F, or a form of F. And then I stuck in one more chord that I liked, the sort of the creep to go from F to G to A, made that geometric turnaround a little stronger. So it went like this. You don't love me, but I sure do need you so. Now we're up to what's the 4 position? Well, my baby, that's the 5th bar. The 6th bar. Got a long, long, back to the 1. Well, my baby, we've got a long, long way to go. And then it sort of slides back. Walk to Astoria, next to nothing in my pocket. Walk to the end of the road I've been down. I'm gonna lay down these shoes in the sea, great Columbia. I'm gonna strip off these dusty things, jump right in and drown. Maybe I'll get there going nowhere, going somewhere. Maybe I'll get there, then again my turn around. Holidays bring familiar gloom. I'm a Scrooge and I spend each Christmas blue. Spend each Christmas blue. But the night met you. Told him the thing was on my list. I'm a Grinch. So that's just a trick that you can use, and you just need to monkey around and find your own alternative chords that you like, or just make, if you want to write a blues song, that's the structure of it, and that's a legitimate form. If you're writing in a strict 12-bar blues where it's not going to have other sections, like in Bang Bang Girl, I actually introduce a chorus later, so I actually turn it into a rondo AABA. So there's 12-bar blues and then a different thing, then 12-bar blues again. But a lot of times 12-bar blues songs are just going to be that 12 bars over and over, introducing new momentum through new lyrics. So there are other techniques that you're going to want to use if you're writing in that style, and you're just going to have that one section, which is within that section you want to kind of have a payoff to whatever you introduce. Whatever you introduce on the first bar should have kind of a payoff by the end of the turnaround. So a lot of times you're gonna have to kind of navigate your way through that, or else we'll be here all day. But anyway, that's just another songwriting tip if you're trying to start out and write a song, is that you can get a lot of stuff done just by sort of leveraging the 12-bar blues. So hope that was helpful, and get out there and write.